NBA television is becoming impossible to watch. It's becoming really, really, really bad. And it's been bad. It's been a bad product for quite some time now. But it just seems like over the course of the past few years, the quality of it has just plummeted. It's really bad. The thing that really pisses me off, and I'm mostly going to refer to like ESPN reporters in this video, is that they actually have some pretty decent, well, not even decent, some very, very exceptional NBA analysts. For example, Tim Legler. He is a former player. He knows what he's talking about. He doesn't dive into these narratives that are just ran through and just annoying to watch. He actually dives into some of the analytics of basketball. Like I said, he knows what he's talking about. He's very thorough. He's very eloquent. He knows what he's talking about. He's a very fun guy to watch. But ESPN does not put him on. They usually air Tim Legler at 1 a.m. Nobody watches SportsCenter at 1 a.m. And by the way, the host of the late night SportsCenter, Scott Van Pelt, very good at his job too. Very exceptional at his job, which makes it even more maddening. So when you don't air these good NBA analysts, you often have guys like Stephen A. Smith, Rachel Nichols, who is the title of today's video, Nick Wright, Kendrick Perkins, these narrative-based guys who just talk about the same thing over and over and over again. It's just so frustrating to watch. I don't watch NBA media or ESPN NBA based shows anymore. And I know so many people who stopped watching them because they don't talk about basketball. They just run through these narratives over and over and over again. It's just so frustrating to watch. Let's talk about Rachel Nichols a little bit. I'm not going to dive into her whole situation with Maria Taylor right now because that's not what this video is about. She has a history of ferociously attaching herself and the players she's interviewing to narratives. It's bad. It's really bad, especially when it comes to the Lakers and LeBron James. If you guys remember, I think back in February of 2020, I think this was a week or two after Kobe Bryant died, the Blazers were taking on the Lakers, and the Lakers were they had this it was a Kobe night. The game, the night was attributed to Kobe, and it was very nice. It was awesome. But then post game, the Blazers ended up winning. Post game, Rachel Nichols asked one of the worst questions I've ever seen in an interview. She asked Damian Lillard post game, "Do you feel bad about beating the Lakers on a Kobe night?" What the fuck? What the fuck is that? What type of question is that? Why would you ask an NBA player that whose main objective is to win and to compete? Okay, it's a Kobe night. That doesn't mean the Lakers had to have won. That's just a bad question to ask. That's a horrible question to ask. And credit to Damian Lillard, he handled that question remarkably. He said something like, "Oh, nobody won tonight because we're all remembering Kobe." That was a phenomenal answer. I'm sure most people and most NBA players would have answered that question very, very differently. Also, quick side note, and I know this is a very I know I'm on thin ice with this little tangent because I know it's a very sensitive topic. But the Lakers had to have won last year, and LeBron had to have won MVP because Kobe Bryant died, and everything with the Lakers has to be done for Kobe. I thought that was awful. I thought that was genuinely a fucking horrible narrative that the media tried to push last year. If you guys remember, I think it was Ramona Shelburne. If it's not, I'm sorry. I don't mean to accuse her of doing this, but it's someone. I know someone said this in ESPN that the only reason she or he voted for LeBron for MVP was because of Kobe Bryant's death, and that LeBron has to win MVP because of Kobe. Oh my god, that narrative was so stupid. It's such a bad narrative, and I know it's supposed to be in remembrance of Kobe, but it's an insult to him that you're trying to push your own narrative because of someone else's death. That's horrible. That's so bad. And there were so many others oh, the Lakers have to win a championship this year because of Kobe. Oh my god, it's those narratives were just awful. I know there's a little side note. I'm not even done talking about Rachel Nichols. I just want to discuss that real quick. I'm gonna play this clip after I'm done explaining it about Rachel Nichols. But also, by the way, Heat coach Eric Spoelstra did a fucking tremendous job of directly calling her out on this. So post Eastern Conference Finals, the Heat were celebrating. It was a trophy ceremony. The Heat just beat the Celtics in 6 games. They're advancing to another NBA Finals, improbable run. Great story. You can write a story about the Heat and their amazing 2020 bubble run just based on the Heat alone. Rachel Nichols, not what she did. She has to tie it into LeBron and the Lakers because it fits this narrative. I'm not blaming LeBron or the Lakers for this. I'm not blaming them at all. It's all the media. I'm just directing all this blame on the media. So she asked Eric Spoelstra, great, now that you've won the Eastern Conference Finals, how are you going to prepare for LeBron? How does LeBron tie into this? Just trying to squeeze this narrative together. And Eric Spoelstra directly called her out on this, saying like, oh, this must be a great story, right? LeBron, the Heat, former team, former player, oh my God, great story. But I would like to talk about the great run that my players on the Heat have made. Such an amazing clip, and it's really fun to watch because like Eric Spoelstra was calling out Rachel Nichols while the B-roll of LeBron was in place. It's just amazing.
This is, of course, the organization's first trip back to the finals since 2014. You had a player then by the name of LeBron James. You will now be facing him in the NBA Finals. What is that going to be like?
I mean, that's a great storyline, right? Can you let us enjoy this for a little bit right now? This is hard to do. It's hard to get to this point. And I want our guys to recognize that, acknowledge it, enjoy it for at least a night, and then we'll get on to that tomorrow.
This video is kind of getting a little long, and I don't want this to be like a 20-minute video, just me ranting, so I'm just going to talk about Skip Bayless and then covering what I think that these media companies should do to fix it, or fix this problem. So Skip Bayless has always been a renowned LeBron hater. That's his thing, I get it, and it's not gonna fade away anytime soon. But at least as of late, it's getting weird. It's getting really, really weird to the point where like I follow Skip Bayless on Twitter just because like why not? I don't watch Undisputed, but it's just comical. So and this is you guys have to get ready for this rant. So I was just chilling on Twitter in preparation for this video, just scrolling through the timeline, and of course some Skip Bayless tweets showed up. And you guys have to remember, this is the day after Game 1 of the NBA Finals, the mecca of what this NBA season has led to. So there's so many stories that you could talk about from last night. You could talk about how Chris Paul played amazing. He was eating the Bucks up on switches, on drop coverages. They had no answer for him. You could talk about DeAndre Ayton, 22-point, 19-rebound game, just continuing his amazing playoff run. You could talk about how Giannis Antetokounmpo played really, really well his first game back after such a gruesome injury. You could talk about how the Bucks actually threw out a backcourt lineup of Jeff Teague and Bryn Forbes in an NBA Finals game. Shout out Coach Bud. Quite the lineup he tried out there. So many stories that you could talk about from last night. But no, instead, let's talk about how LeBron James is the most trolled athlete on Twitter. No surprise to me. We debate now on Undisputed. And that's not it. We're not done talking about LeBron on Undisputed. We're not done yet. Even though LeBron has nothing to do with the current events in the NBA, we're not done talking about that. We also have to talk about how Giannis's chase down block last night was shockingly similar to LeBron's overrated chase down in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals. So LeBron, of course, has to tie into everything because that is the narrative that I have to follow through. It's so nauseating. It's so frustrating. Like I said, I don't watch this. I don't watch this. Nobody watches this. It's dead. NBA television is dead. Oh my God, it's so bad to watch. And there's good analysts out there. I usually get most of my analytical videos and stuff like that from Twitter, like Steve Jones, Jackson Frank, Nikias Duncan. There's good analysts out there to follow. But the mainstream stuff on TV is just so watered down and ran through that more and more people are going to stop watching this. I mean, the viewer base, at least that I know of, and I know that a lot of people on Twitter agree with me on this, is dying. Well, not okay. not dying like literally dying, metaphorically dying. I think that these media companies have to learn from the NBA playoffs so far, in that like everybody said once the Nets got eliminated, once the Lakers got eliminated, oh, nobody's gonna watch the NBA playoffs. These big time players, these big time teams aren't playing anymore, and it's just been the exact opposite. In the Bucks Hawks series, both Milwaukee and Atlanta are small to mid-level markets. In both of these series, the ratings have been tremendous, and that's because people are tuning in to watch a good product. People aren't tuning in to watch the LeBron James of the world, the James Hardens, the Kevin Durant's, the Anthony Davis's. They're not watching to see these good players. They're tuning in to watch a good product, and the playoffs so far have been a good product with or without these major market teams. And with this a lesson from the NBA playoffs that you don't need to rely on these big players and these big market teams to win or to succeed, then the media companies can actually talk more about basketball, could talk more about analytics and be more objective. They can actually put out a good product that more people in a wider viewership would enjoy watching. So main thing I want you guys to take away with this, these narratives on TV are bad. They're not fun to watch. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way. Hopefully, I guess ratings drop with these companies and they realize that, hey, we need to switch something up. And we start to see basketball analysts talk more about basketball. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, man. This video has been really fun to make, so I appreciate you guys watching it through. With that being said, I will catch you later. Peace.